Good morning, guys. I hope you're having a great day so far. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rise, and welcome to my Mod 18 Neverwinter Fighter Dreadnought build. That was a mouthful. So with Mod 18, the fighter got some really nice damage buffs, which we will be taking advantage of in this build, and we'll go over that later in the power section part of the video. These are going to be the timestamps right here. So without any further ado, let's get right into the build. Okay, so let's talk about the gear first. With Mod 18, they raised all the stat caps to 85,000, so you should aim armor penetration, defense, critical strike accuracy, all to 85,000, and combat advantage should be at least 135,000. Power needs to be as high as you can possibly get it. As far as gear, there's really no right or wrong gear as long as you have, first of all, your stats capped, but also you're picking gear with either plus damage or plus power like these two. So this is awesome for single target fights and boss fights. These are substitutable with these right here. However, you get about 10,000 more HP with the Lion's Guard. So it's a give and take. With Lion's Guard you might lose a little more power because if you read the tooltip you can lose power, but Vivified isn't as good because it has lower HP. For armor enchantment I'm using Bark Shield. For the weapons you can use Burnished, Alabaster, or even Mountaineer. Alabaster is going to be best for mobs, Burnisher is going to be best for longer fights like Tom. But really you should aim for your Lionheart weapons. Vorpal enchantment to increase your crit severity. These are really good, but make sure you have positive incoming healing. I'm using the Engine Master set because it gives 2.5 more damage. I've run ACT wearing the Gizeria set. It does about 1% more damage during a dungeon, so the Engine Master set is going to be just a little bit better. Striking rings for 3% more damage, and yes, I know my crit strike is super above cap, but it is what it is. And for my offensive slots, I have all Radiance except for one. I have one Tenebris, and that Tenebris does about 2% of your damage, 1 to 2% of your damage during a dungeon fight, which is more than one single Radiant can do. I'm using this for 3% more damage, and I'm using this for the offensive stats. There is nothing wrong with substituting it for this piece if you like. And for my defense slots, I'm using a mixture of Azure and Brutal enchantments. So for the artifacts, I am using 3 of the Storyteller's journals, and the reason why I'm doing that is the set bonus, so your powers have a chance to deal additional unresistible damage equal to 10% of your weapon damage. Throughout a whole dungeon fight, they'll do about 0.7% of your damage. So that's really nice. Plus it gives you tons of HP. If you do not have these, you can work with a saddle like this. Which will give you a little more power, but you lose quite a bit of HP. You lose about 30,000 HP. So the Storyteller's journals aren't a must, but they really are super helpful. Let's put the other one back on. Where is it? And of course we're using this to finish off the Engine Master's mantle set. And keep in mind I am standing in Chult right now, and I do have the Compy equipped, which gives me extra power. It's just that in Protector's Enclave there's massive rubber banding, so I didn't want to be standing in there. So next up is going to be Boons. I am 1 week away from getting my final boon in Avernus, so I'm just one short. But pick power, pick HP. This is a must for the new dungeon, 5% more damage. And for the other ones, just fill in whichever stats you're missing. I'm not going to go too into depth about that. Crit severity is super nice, as well as incoming healing because I do have those boots equipped. And I'm using Bloodlust for the extra AP gain. Rank 2 of Bloodlust does about 1% of my damage during a dungeon fight, so it's not a ton of damage, but it still helps out. Guild Boons, you can use either power or crit severity. I am using defense instead of HP because my defense would be super low without it. Utility, you can use whatever you like. However, if your guild does have it, I'd highly recommend this one right here. We can ignore the PvP stuff. Next up, let's take a second to talk about companions. So just pick a companion that helps you get to your 85,000 caps. So whether that be a Boule, a Polar Bear Cub, or a Quasit, just pick whichever one works for you. Bonding Runestones go here, of course. And we're using Empowered. And these are just going to be the 3 pieces that I'm using to get to my 85,000 caps. I'm using this for the power, this for incoming healing as well as power. You should probably put this on if you plan on using the Restored Iron Leggings. I'm using this for the accuracy, this for the power, and this also for the power. If you do not have this, there is nothing wrong with using the Baby Owlbear's Presence. They do about the same damage. So, if you have it, you might as well use it, right? Okay. Next up, let's talk about mounts. So, these are the 5 mounts that I'm using, and these are the insignia bonuses I'm using. The ones that I would say really matter are going to be Gladiator's Guile, for the extra movement speed as well as stamina gain. Also Assassin's Covenant to help you get to your 85,000 caps. I'm using this one just because I had the mount. And I am also using this one just because I have the mount. So you can change out these two if you like. And as far as actual insignias themselves, I am using a mixture of Dominance and Brutals. So most of them are going to be Dominance. I have a Brutal right there, another Brutal right there, a few more Dominance, and I have a few off ones, so I have a couple Fortitude for the extra defense as well as HP. I have a Mastery for the accuracy, and I think that's about it. But you can change the insignias out to whichever stats you need once again. So next up, let's talk about powers and feats. I have 2 separate encounter lists for AoE as well as single targets. So right now I'm in my AoE build. I'm using Anvil, Shield Slam, Onslaught, Combat Superiority, and Enduring Vengeance. Do your own testing. Shield Slam actually does more damage than Tremor, even though Tremor has a higher magnitude. Plus, Shield Slam has a lower cooldown, as well as better range. So, Shield Slam is awesome. If you are doing gigantic pulls like in Tick, if you're doing door-to-door pulls, you can definitely switch out Anvil of Doom for Tremor. For my single target, I switch Shield Slam for Bull Charge. I switch out Onslaught for Griffin's Wrath. And I switch out Combat Superiority for Momentum. For feats, I'm using the 5 lower ones. So, as a fighter, you want to rely on heavy burst damage. You don't want to rely on smaller hits. That's why we're using Anvil over Heavier Slash. Ricochet over Prepared Slam. So, whenever you use an encounter whenever you use an encounter after using an at will, you do more AoE damage, which is awesome. Grilling Hatred. So we use this for the extra vengeance gain. This one is good, but no one really wants to stack your armor pen to the power level, so definitely don't take crushing blows. Land Waster versus Striker's Mark. If you read, which one is it? If you read this right here, it says that whenever your vengeance is above 50%, you gain 20% more damage. If you have this slotted as well, you gain an extra 5% more damage. If you use this, you're losing 25% of your damage, so definitely don't take Land Waster. I really don't use Commander Strike, but if you decide to use it, it'll help you out anyways. Executioner's Cut does less than 1% of your damage during a total dungeon, so it is not that useful at all. But we have no problem keeping our Vengeance gauge up, so there's really no need to take this. So now we're in Protector's Enclave, so I can show you my rotation. It doesn't look like there's any more rubber banding, so that is really cool. But this is what my power level is, with just 10 stacks of the Escalating Might. Let's actually build it up to 20 so you guys can see. So this is what my power looks like with 20, minus 4 stacks of Butcher's Might. But this is a rotation. But this is a rotation that you use for AoE damage, so always start with Heavier Slash, another Heavier Slash, and then another Heavier Slash. So the rubber banding is terrible right now, but the point is, before you use any AoE encounters, make sure you use Heavy Slash. And before you use Anvil of Doom, make sure that Heavy Slash is up, because it will disappear after you use an AoE encounter. For single target, there is really no secret. So let's wait 10 seconds for those to cool down, but you just hit the encounters as soon as the cooldowns are up, and the only at will you use for single target is going to be a Heavy Slash. So just like this. Okay, so this lag is making my fighter do some really weird stuff. This might not be the best example, but you don't need to wait for any special rotation or anything. You literally just use encounters as soon as a cooldown is up. One other rotation I see other fighters using is going to be Commander Strike instead of Bull Charge, and of course this will be swapped out for Momentum. About an hour ago I had done some testing and I had recorded this on ACT. So right now we're looking at a previous recording, but I had done each rotation for 13 minutes straight, so that way all the big crits would average out and everything. So this is going to be Bull Charge and Momentum for 13 minutes straight, and I will just fast forward and go here. So 181 million damage in 13 minutes. And we can switch over to Commander Strike. So I had made a mistake here. I forgot to switch Momentum out for combat superiority, but we can still factor that in because we ran the ACT. So this is what the numbers look like for the Commander Strike run. As you can see, we did a little bit more damage on this run, but that's because the crit chances were a lot higher. So 14% higher for Anvil of Doom, Mowdown was 6% higher, and Heavy Slash was 3% higher. If you do the numbers and you average out the crit chances to what they were in the first run, the runs would do pretty much the same damage. I mean, I think it'd be within 500 million of each other. So, excuse me, it'd be within 500,000 of each other. So from a numerical standpoint, they do around the same damage. From a logical standpoint, you should probably use Bull Charge, and this is why. So in a dungeon run, you will not always be able to hit the boss. So say you get teleported by Hallister before you get to use Mowdown, you have to wait a full rotation before you can use Mowdown, and therefore you lose DPS. Based on the literal term of the word damage per second, if you have to wait a full rotation before using mowdown, you're losing damage because you have to wait. Whereas with Bull Charge, you use powers, dailies, as soon as they come up. So not only is it a little more safe, but it's simpler to keep up. That's just my personal opinion though, you can use whatever you like. Last up on the list for today is going to be consumables. There are three that I'd highly recommend. First is going to be Wildstorm. These are on the auction house, they sell for about 40,000 AD for a stack of 99. These are super cheap, they're 13,000 AD for a stack of 99. These are awesome, but they're also expensive. They're 100,000 AD for a full stack. But altogether, they do really increase your damage. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment. If this video helped you out, please consider liking and subscribing. I do have a Tom video planned in the future. It's just a matter of getting a good Tom run. And of course, I'll be posting a tick once I get into a good run too. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much for watching.